now we've come to the last part of the show where we do my top 5 countdown. Last week I did a top 5 countdown to my favorite unconventional Christmas/holiday films. This time I'm going to do a top 5 countdown to my favorite treasure hunting films. I think it sort of suits for this episode since we were just talking about the Adventures of Tintin. So I would like to begin the countdown and discuss why I chose these 5 films as my favorite treasure hunting films. At number 5, I have to give it to The Goonies.
But right now they gotta do what's right for them. Cause it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here. That's all over the second we ride up Troy's bucket.
It's, kids going on an adventure trying to find pirate booty, and they're being chased by a bunch of bad guys, and they have Chunk and Sloth. I mean, come on, you can't go wrong with The Goonies. You really can't. If you don't like The Goonies, then you have no heart. And I really like the throwback to the old, Errol Flynn adventure movies. There's, one nice particular nod with Sloth and Chunk on the pirate ship near the end of the film. And, every time I watch this film, I always feel like a little kid again. I feel like I'm 12 years old or 11 years old, And it's just, it's just a childhood movie that I can't seem to get enough of. And The Goonies is definitely on my list at my number 5. Number 4, I'm going with Joel and Ethan Coen's Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It's a different take on the Odyssey. And George Clooney plays a man who is out seeking treasure, in quotes, and he takes his 2 prison buddies with him, played by John Turturro and Tim Blake Nelson. George Clooney plays a character named Everett who seeks hidden treasure while relentlessly running away from the law. It's a nice little 30s style film. It has classic Coen Brothers humor. George Clooney is a riot. Actually, all 3 of them are a complete and utter riot. It's just, I love that it has these great nods to Homer's The Odyssey, but having it set in the Deep South in the 1930s, it just seems, a lot more fresh and crisp for the story to be told.
And it is that which I propose to give you a lesson in right now.
Well, I like to think I'm a pretty astute observer of the human scene, too, Big Dan.
No doubt, brother. I figured as much back at the restaurant. That's why I invited y'all out here for this advanced tutorial.
What's going on, Big Dan?
It's all about the money, boys! That's it! Don't break!
I don't get it, Big Dan.
At number 3, I am definitely going to go old school for this one. I am going with John Huston's The Treasure of Sierra Madre.
Oiga, señor, we are federales, the mountain police.
If you're the police, where are your badges?
Badges? We ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
No sea tonto, hombre. We didn't try to do you any harm. Why don't you try to be a little more polite? Give us your gun, and we'll leave you in peace.
I need my gun myself.
Oh, throw that old iron over here. We'll pick it up and go on our way.
You go anyway without my gun and go quick.
Humphrey Bogart, Walter Houston, they star in this film about 2 Americans searching for work in Mexico, and they convince an old prospector to help them mine for gold in the Sierra Madre Mountains. I love Humphrey Bogart's character in this movie, Dobbs. I think it's, classic Bogart, but it still maintains, this, wise guy, it's classic Bogart. I mean, what can you go wrong with that? And I love the whole premise of the movie, and, how they're saying that they sold their souls for treasure, and it's a great, great old film that I don't think many people, especially in my age demographic, have seen. But if they haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend they check out The Treasures of Sierra Madre. At number 2 is Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, I wouldn't feel right if I didn't put this movie on my list. I really wouldn't. It's George Lucas and Steven Spielberg paying a great homage to the 1930s adventure serials. Harrison Ford in the iconic role that basically launched his career into full-blown stardom. I mean, you can debate that it was Han Solo, but I personally think it was Indiana Jones that really made his career what it is. They're searching for the Lost Ark. They're on a race against evil, much like what the Adventures of Tintin was doing. And, you know, it has a great payoff at the end, melting Nazis. I mean, it's just, you know, classic treasure hunting film. So that is my number 2 pick of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And finally, at number 1 is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
You pig! You want to get me killed! When'd you unload it?
Last night. You see, in this world, there's 2 kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns, and those who dig. You dig. Where? Here.
There's no name on it.
There's no name here either.
I love Sergio Leone, and I love his spaghetti western films. The Good and the Bad and the Ugly is a continuation of the Man with No Name series. It's actually the final Man with No Name series. First came A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More. The Good and the Bad and the Ugly is probably the best out of all 3 of the movies. I love the exposition. I love how the film is one big epic western that, you know, you just rarely get to see anymore. And The Good and the Bad and the Ugly is a true treasure in its own right, and I have to give it to The Good and the Bad and the Ugly. It's one of my favorite spaghetti western movies, actually, if not the favorite spaghetti western film. Clint Eastwood as Blondie is what he's called in this film. You know, he is a true gritty cowboy that you don't want to fuck with. You can read more of my reviews at thatmovieswelovesite.wordpress.com. You can follow me on Twitter at AAPROD, spelled DOUBLEAAPROD. Prod is short for Productions. Thank you for listening for another episode of Movie Phone Call, and see you at the movies.
Excellent.
Did you hit anything?
Oh dear.
Land! We're not there yet! No! Land!
You looked a little cold, so I lit a wee fire.
In a boat? Well, this is a fine mess.
Tintin!